Well, welcome. My nose itches. As soon as I hit the button, my nose started itching. So sorry. Um, I don't know why it itches right there. Sorry, sorry about that. Um, what am I doing? Who am I? This is chapter 45 of the world's longest suicide note. I am the author of that note. My name is Roger, and I'm suicidal often. Um, but I'm not a mental health professional. And if you don't already know that, you're going to find out super quick. So, anyway, I'm going to do some painting here on this thing and chat a minute. A minute, right? Yeah, a minute. Okay, let's get started. And honestly, what I wanted to talk about today, and this is the 45th chapter. We've talked about uh, therapy before. I mean, obviously, understanding that I have no idea. I don't keep track of what our subjects have been about at all, and I probably should, but I don't. And it's just going to be what it's going to be. Um, I didn't really think about it until like number 16 or 18. And then by then it's like it's that ship has sailed. The ship has sailed, and there's no bringing the ship back once it sails. Apparently, yeah. So I will. There's going to be a bunch of overlap. There, or it has already been, but there'll continue to be. But I'm not going to talk about therapy as like the normal how we think of therapy. And I have in my mind, I have a love hate deal with therapy. Mostly hate, some love. Tradition, and let's back the bus up for a second. Um, this part I'm talking about traditional therapy. Sit on a chair and talk, open up, that kind of thing, or group type traditional therapies. I have a real love hate. Um, Again, mostly hate because I really haven't gotten huge benefit from traditional therapy. And so I have a when the word therapy, it's like let's associate something with the word therapy. Um, my my thoughts go to uncomfortable conversations and trying to figure out the uh, what the heck they want to hear from me, because that's what we do. We don't want to just to get out of it. We have to say words in a certain set of these words have to be said in sentences, and then once you say those, then they leave you alone for a while. Oh, okay, I guess you are stabilized and out of the woods kind of situation. um, yeah, so very few were the breakthroughs or the really good information kind of thing, because at the other side there's also a bias on the therapist, because they will have an idea of what's going on, and they run their program, and their program for me, I have severe mental illness, but it wasn't. I mean, I haven't had any. I haven't. I've been very fortunate. I'm a blessed person. I've never experienced um, emotional, physical, sexual abuse of any kind, and so I don't really have a lot of that trauma. Um, and I get it. I have experienced physical abuse. I don't consider it abuse it was my autistic son who was expressing his frustrations. It wasn't a planned, orchestrated terror campaign against me to, you know, make me do something or provide whatever. So yes, I have in my life experienced physical abuse, but it's a different situation, and it wasn't one that traditional therapy was really going to make better. I am going through therapy now for the PTSD side of that, so I'm hoping for some relief there at some point. But anyway, so traditional therapies, and some people, it's pretty much either there's not a lot of people just on the fence. Well, I can go either way with therapy. Some people either love it or they hate it, and so yeah, that's kind of a big thing. But what I want to talk about is not as much about therapy as it is about therapeutic. That's what we want to talk about today, because there's a big difference there. There is a big difference between the two, and let's talk about the difference and what my perspective is about the difference. So, because keep in mind, this is nothing I say is set in stone. Nothing I say is. It is what it is to the best of my understanding and perception. It's not. It shouldn't be yours. It's opened up for discussion, but everyone will have their own idea of what that means, what that is, that kind of thing. So, having said that, yeah, just because there's a pushback. I don't want to go to therapy. I don't want to do more therapy. Therapy, blah blah blah. And sometimes we can't see the forest for the trees because of the word therapy, because there's a lot of things. I do a lot of different therapies. Oh, I hit that. One of the things with painting, I usually like to go from this side to this side, because I'll do what I just did, and if I don't, I'll paint this, then I'll come over here and I'll find that I've drag my fingers across that, like I just did. This one wasn't bad because I didn't smudge it. Look, keep the train on the rails. All right, yeah, I do a lot of therapeutic stuff, a lot of different therapies, but they're my therapies. They're my self-directed therapies. They're things that I do that help me. It's part of my self-care routine. Just because it's therapeutic and I call them therapies, doesn't mean that they're professional. Doesn't mean that they're put on by, I don't have to see if I can accept my own insurance, see if my insurance will cover it, because that answer is probably no. I did it again, son of a bitch. Sorry. Kind of. Yeah. Train. Train on the tracks. Okay. So that's the real point I'm trying to make, is that just because you may have a dislike for therapy doesn't mean that you can't do your own therapies, and you should be doing your own therapies. And it's okay to call it a therapy. It's not okay to call it a therapy and then charge people money for it, or without. If you're gonna do that, then you have to be licensed and you got to be regulated and the whole thing. This is about personal therapies. I'm a personal therapist for myself. And, some days, I do walk therapy. Some days I do art therapy. I know people who do fishing therapy or bowling therapy. They and the difference is, well, why don't you just say they go bowling? Why do you have to say it's bowling therapy? I love saying therapy when you do something that's good for you, because you're telling yourself that this is good for me. I'm not just going bowling. I'm not just going fishing. I'm not just going to the strip club to throw dollars at women or whatever it is your thing. Strip therapy, strip club therapy. Um, Try getting it right off for that one. But when you call it therapy, and when you in your mind you realize why, then you're giving yourself, because some people don't like to do anything for themselves that's fun or relaxing, um, because they don't feel like they deserve it. They don't deserve to take care of themselves. They're such bad people. They've done such bad things that, heaven forbid, they actually, have fun or enjoy themselves or connect with nature or some other, whatever it is. So by calling it, yeah, I'm doing. It's tongue in cheek. Some people wouldn't understand that I'm being serious. They may just think, oh yeah, retail therapy. For people who love to shop, that makes them feel good. No, that's probably not one I would recommend, because, like anything, you could do too much, and then you got to pay that stuff back, and then you really need therapy, because when you open up your bills. But so that's been kind of a joke, for a lot of I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing, put therapy after that. This isn't a joke. I'm serious. This is art therapy that I'm doing. I'm doing art, and I'm calling it therapy because it's helping me. It's giving me space and time to not be in my head constantly, to not be focused on the suck, but to just abide it while I do something else. And so that's what I want to talk about, is just, but you have to have things in your life that are therapeutic for you, because that's where the work really is. And what do I mean by that? When you're dealing with severe mental illness and or suicidal thoughts and feelings, it's something that we need to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to keep away from the edge of the abyss. And this is what, and you can't, even if you love therapy, you can't live. It's not like What About Bob, where you're going to hang out and with your therapist all the time, and you're there all the time. That kind of situation. And any therapy that I talk about is never meant to take the place of actual therapy or actual group sessions or anything that a professional said you should do. This is not to say, oh, you have a choice. You don't have a choice. There is no choice. You have to go through the program, but to say that that's the only therapy that you have access to, that's what we're talking about. That's because you could always, and always should. I'm trying to get rid of that word. We had a discussion the other day. about it. One, must, now that's like you must make sure that you're doing everything that you can to move you from today to the next day, to give yourself 24 hours. Everything I do is geared at giving myself the reason to carry on at least 24 hours. And so by plugging into different things, different areas, different avenues, different types of therapy or therapeutic benefits, all you're doing is helping yourself with getting from where you are today to getting to tomorrow. So having therapies is not only important, it's essential for future growth. And honestly, it's just something everyone should be doing. And most people that don't deal with the things that we deal with, they do this all the time. They just don't, they have no need to call it a therapy because that's not a burden that they're carrying at this point. But for us, we need to do things and we need to take care of ourselves. So if you don't have anything that you would consider a therapy at this point, you develop it. And if you're in the darkest of darks, you may not even see nothing probably. And I've been there, so don't think that you're weird or there's something wrong with you, because there's not. I've been there where nothing, literally nothing, outside of standing or sitting in your room in the dark, staring at the wall, waiting for it to move or do something, just existing, because that's all you have the capacity to do. I get it. But then that's also really not the time to, you gotta pull yourself away from the edge, and then you can have a better view and assess where what it is that drives you, what it is that you enjoy, and then make a therapy about it. If you love reading books in a coffee shop, that's therapy. That's therapeutic. Coffee therapy. You sold me. Where do I sign up? So connect with, and if you haven't opened yourself up, and I totally get this, because I'm there myself a lot, where you haven't given yourself the permission to actually enjoy anything, because it feels so counter to what you usually feel. I get it. I 100% get it. But what this will do for you is help you stay away from times like this, where you're just mired in the sludge, and doing anything is a monumental task. Because we have to have things that we like. We have to have things that are just that just make this life bearable and better. And we need to plug into those therapeutically for our therapy. People may not get it. If you love flowers and you're going to go sit in the rose garden for 5 hours and stare at them, people may not understand that. You really love flowers, whatever. This is your flower therapy. You're going to sit there and you're going to suck all the energy out of that, and you're going to feel better. That's the hope. That's the desire. Is that, and it makes everything else easier. makes everything else, makes the darks just a little bit brighter. So, and there's no limit to the therapies that you can have. There's thousands of therapeutic things that you can do, that you can call, this is my therapy, this is my whatever therapy, and the great thing is it's tailored to you because you're the one doing it. You're the therapist. So empower yourself to be your own therapist and to find therapies that benefit you and your soul. All right? Okay. I think that's it. I can keep going, but at some point the train's pulling into the station, so I better get off. Have an amazing day. Find some therapies that make you feel good, and do those things continuously. And find new ones. I mean, just because you have a couple therapies that you like doing, don't say, "Oh, I'm good." If something looks interesting, because one may lead to another, that lead to another. So keep your mind open and just go down that road. So, all right. Before I start talking about something else, I'm going to say goodbye. Have an amazing day. Keep fighting, and we'll talk to you next time.